Okay, we're on the air.
Okay, bringing the Township of Long Hill Planning Board meeting into order. Madam Secretary, if you would please read the minutes.
Absolutely.
Sorry, read the announcements.
The intros, yeah.
Thank you.
Number one, call to order and statement of compliance. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting a copy of the public meeting dates on the municipal bulletin board and website, by sending a copy to the Echo Sentinel newspaper, and by filing a copy with the municipal clerk. Number two, standard board procedures. Any meeting conducted by the board is a quasi-judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to a judicial meeting must be maintained at all times. Number three, electronic devices. All in attendance are asked to mute cell phones or any electronic devices as to not interrupt the proceedings. Number four, pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now roll call. Mayor Pastercia is currently absent. Ms. Dill?
Present.
Committeeman Lavender?
Present.
Mr. Hands?
Yeah.
Mr. Lavarerio?
Here.
Ms. Ogins?
Here.
Mr. Opalka?
Here.
Vice Chairman Jones?
Present.
And Chairman Richardson?
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Okay, we are going to postpone our review of meeting minutes. We'll pick that up next meeting. So our next agenda item are some resolutions. The first resolution is the designation of an official online news publication, Resolution 2026-10-PB. You should have that in your packet. Fairly straightforward. It's addressing both publication in Echo Sentinel and the municipal website.
Yes.
Is there anything to add?
This is simply in compliance with the new statute that requires that public notices now be posted on municipal websites. The municipality, well, the board in this case, or any public agency, still has to designate an official newspaper in the event something still has to be published in the newspaper. And the newspapers have to comply with certain statutory requirements to be able to be considered as online news publications. Echoes meets that test. So Echoes is being designated along with the municipal website.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions? Before we move on?
So the timing of all publications still holds true, nothing changes, this is only just formalizing that we're using the Echo Sentinel and the Long Hill website.
Correct.
Thank you.
So if applicants still need to send notice to their neighbors within 200 feet, they still have to send it, they have to mail it, none of that changes.
Okay, thank you.
Here's just more of a city comment,
I'm sorry?
a city comment, a throwaway comment.
Okay.
Because it has the page is ads, legal ads on the website. Is that a reason that could not be changed to notices on the website itself? Because it is notices.
Well, legal ads, and I don't know. I didn't put it up there. It's a
No, it
separate
hasn't
company
changed.
that does it, yeah.
I had the same reaction to that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
So
Not an ad, it's a notice.
you feel it should be legal notices
No, no,
versus
no,
legal
it's
ads?
The website, but the location of it is
Or
correct.
public notices.
Yeah. 'Cause the website just says, and then it says see notices or something.
Yeah,
like that.
it's misleading.
It's just,
Public notices would be,
I think that's a good thing for you to bring up, Committeeman Lavender, with the TC.
yeah.
I understand that we were given this web
Correct.
page from the clerk.
everything else is fine.
Yes.
It's just, no, I wouldn't stop this. It's just a comment.
So,
Understood.
That they should.
Yep.
so I'm looking at the site and it says legal ads, so I'm wondering if they dedicated a page just for this.
They're supposed to.
So this is it.
They are required to do
So
that, yes.
I've called it up and it just says legal ads.
And if you
Yes.
see, it says notices as well underneath.
No,
It's on
just
the-
those legal
No,
If like we're issuing RFPs and stuff like that, it shows up in there.
Yes, because the township
No.
is also
I haven't seen
required to
notices.
post all their notices, RFPs, all of that on their municipal website. And the Secretary of State also has a website, which is now up and running, where all of those notices will also be located. So It-
Public plan.
If the, I guess webmaster who created this could change the wording.
Yeah.
Because we're just going by whatever was given to us by the township as what the web page is called
Terrible
right now.
nomenclature.
I
Terrible
literally
nomenclature.
saw this today and I was like, what the heck is this?
And that's
Yeah.
exactly right.
I'll bring it up tomorrow.
Should be like legal notice or something like that,
So-
something that's more in line with what.
Every
With
other,
that-
every other
with that
newspaper in the world
said-
says public notices.
With that said, guys, do we want to, still make a motion to accept this
Yeah.
with any conditions? Or would that be appropriate?
With that change, we can do a quick amendatory resolution at our next, whenever it's changed.
Agreed.
So
I
I
was
don't
just
want
gonna
to
say
say
that.
next meeting if it's not changed by the next meeting, but whenever the name is changed, because right now, people are
That's
going to
what
be
it is.
looking for this,
Right.
because that's
Yes,
where it
it
is
is a-
located
How
currently.
about this real quick? You know, I'll make a motion that we pass this with an amendment that we take out that website link there and just say, available on the township's website and an appropriate link.
Can we do that?
That's up to you, because
Well,
I thought
well,
legally we had to put the
We're
link.
required to point them in the direction where it is right now, and that's where it is.
That's where it is,
When
but
you
it's gonna be
change the
modified.
website name, we can do a quick amendatory resolution, just saying the website's changed, this is the new website.
Well, you could still do that, just take out the page/legal ads, because it's on longhillnj.gov, and it should be available right on the top.
It's supposed to be available right on the front page as soon as
Correct.
you land there, so yes, we can
Use
take
the
that
landing
out.
page.
Okay.
Yes,
Use the
All right.
Long Hill landing page.
yes.
So let me amend my amended motion.
You can amend it just to the landing page, because the button's on there, should be.
Right,
So we
Okay,
would be
so just the
amending it,
homepage.
just,
Yes.
we would be deleting page and legal ads?
right.
Yes,
Right.
that's acceptable, that's fine.
Now, do I have to notice this resolution?
I'm sorry?
I don't have to notice this resolution, do
No.
I? Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, so is there a motion?
Yeah, so
Is that
moved.
what they can-
Excellent. Can you just state your motion?
All right, so I make a motion that we pass resolutions 26-10-PB with the modification that we remove /page/legal-ads out of the website link.
Second.
Okay. Committeeman Lavender,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Dill,
Yes.
Mr. Hands,
Yes.
Mr. Lavario,
Yes.
Ms. Ogins,
Yes.
Mr. Opelka,
Yes.
Chairman Richardson,
Yes.
motion carries.
Great. Okay, next up is the adoption of the redevelopment plan for 1106-1122 Valley Road. This is, I guess it's in is this yes, this is a resolution number 2026-11-PB. Do you want to provide some background?
Sure.
to This particular resolution.
As the resolution indicates, this is part of the redevelopment, this is part of the redevelopment of Block 11401, Lot 7. Back in 2021, the planning board conducted the public hearing to determine whether that lot qualified as an area in need of redevelopment. The board at the time found that it did. So it went then to the township committee to consider whether to actually designate it. The township committee did designate it back in 2022. And then over the last couple of years, this redevelopment plan, I'm assuming since it has been a couple of years, wasn't being developed until now. And that stands to reason, because right now, we're looking at a new housing round, a new affordable housing round. And this redevelopment is going to be a part of the new affordable housing round. So the planning board had, the township committee had the township planner prepare this redevelopment plan for this redevelopment area. And the township committee has introduced the ordinance so far to adopt this redevelopment plan. So they have introduced the ordinance, and upon introduction, they are now required to send it to the planning board, which they have, for a consistency determination. So what the planning board is tasked with doing right now is reviewing this redevelopment plan, and you are, of course, able to rely on your professional planner, on Liz, that's why she's here today, with regard to any questions about master plan consistency, because the board's job is to review this plan, ensure that it is not inconsistent with the master plan that has been adopted, and also to make any other recommendations to the township committee that you'd like to see in this redevelopment plan. So if you look at the resolution, there is a reference in, to an Exhibit A at the end in Section 2. Exhibit A will contain any recommendations that the planning board has for the township committee with regard to this redevelopment plan.
Okay, well, I think probably the most appropriate thing would be, Liz, if we could open up the floor to questions.
Yeah, I mean,
from
I
the
could,
board. I mean, maybe you could give us a quick
Little background?
synopsis
yeah,
in regards to your
sure,
opinion,
sorry.
especially with how it relates back to the master plan.
sure. So, this is the car wash site, just, I think it's conventional, whatever, colloquially known as the car wash site, and there was at one point, a redevelopment plan that allowed for an assisted living facility, and then another assisted living facility moved in down the street, or wanted to move in down the street, and that project, I think, just sort of didn't materialize. So, as I think everybody knows, and obviously Jessica came and spoke with the board last May, I think, in 2025, but the Fair Housing Act was amended in March of 2024, and in it established very strict deadlines. I mean, it literally has the date and year. So there's been quite a fast pace between sort of October of 2024, when the state gave the affordable housing obligation numbers to the municipalities. There have been a series of very quick deadlines and quick turnarounds. So when Jessica came to the board and spoke with us last May, she talked about this site and that it was a new redevelopment scenario. And that was what this board adopted back in June. And so, as you also know, is the housing element is part of the master plan. And so this redevelopment plan, just to cut to the chase, this redevelopment plan is consistent with the housing element of the master plan. And I think it's not inconsistent with some of the ideas that we had in the 2023 master plan with regard to Valley Road and the BD zone, and some sort of revitalization and development initiatives. So just to give everybody a timeline, after, there was a June 30th, 2025 deadline for municipalities to get their housing plans in. Long Hill did that. Then objectors had until August 31st to object. And Long Hill, as eCourts tells me, Long Hill received one objection from Fair Share Housing Center, which is a housing advocacy group that objected to just about every single plan in the state. So, then
What was
you.
the rationale for their objection?
I'm just reading it now. But I think, some of it is, I think the first thing I saw was it doesn't provide a realistic opportunity for affordable housing, that there needed to,
20%.
well, that they, maybe more details needed to be provided to convince Fair Share Housing Center that these were real projects, and
In fact, I'm just saying what I read in the paper, it said 20%, which I thought is pretty substantial.
the 20% what?
20% for fair share, for affordable.
The set aside is 20%, yeah, which is statutory. That is the state law.
So we were in lines with that.
Yeah, but no, you need to specify specific projects. So back in October of 2024, the state gave Long Hill an obligation to provide between 2025 and 2035, 102 affordable housing units. So you had to, in this housing element, right, identify projects as to how the township would provide those 102 units. So basically, the fall was spent in every town sort of mediating between municipalities and Fair Share Housing Center, and other objectors in front of the judge. Everybody had until December 31st to do that. Long Hill was able to get a settlement agreement which is a good thing. That means that the program, the judge is going to recommend approval of the plan. Then you have until March 15th, 2026, which is this Sunday, which of course the law put in there, in the legislation, a Sunday, which of course isn't, courts aren't open, but it doesn't matter. They put, March 15th, 2026, you had to have all of your implementing ordinances adopted. So I know, I understood, or I do understand people's frustration. We just got this, we don't have a lot of time. And all I can say is, you're not alone. It's happening in every town. And every town is sort of extremely irritated by the fast-paced timeframe, because residents, let alone the planning board, residents don't have a lot of opportunity to review these ordinances. Thank you. And so people are kind of feeling pressed and annoyed, and I don't blame anybody. Certainly don't blame Jessica, because I'm in her position in a lot of other towns, and it just is how the process has worked out. That everything is just, oh my God, now we're racing to get this deadline, and and you can't move forward until you get sign off on this. And so it seems like, oh, you've had 2 years to work on this, but in reality, it's more like 6 weeks. And of course, the ordinances have to be not only prepared, but then they have to be noticed. And then that notice is, a week or two in advance of a first reading, which then needs to have 10 days before adoption. And in between, you have to have a planning board hearing on consistency. So, March 15th, January 1st, March 15th, well, it comes quickly. And so that's where we are today. So I think the redevelopment plan, in short, is not inconsistent with the housing element that was adopted by this board in June. Which doesn't mean, that you can't, as Yolanta suggested, if there are specific issues that you have, that you can't point that out. Whatever issue, with any of the specified details in the plan.
Just for point of clarification, the details that are in this plan that Jessica wrote came out of the approval for that project that then didn't happen. Is that fair?
I think,
Because I noticed certain things in there that seem very specific, like height-related issues, things of that sort, that seem to cater to the proposed development that I guess never happened.
well, my guess, and I don't know this, is that she has a rough concept of what the prospective developer wants to do on this site, and she crafted regulations to allow that.
Right.
And that's typical.
And that is typical.
That typically happens.
No, I'm just really more trying to validate, in my mind, where a lot of the specific language came from in her plan.
That's my guess. My guess is it doesn't, this is a departure from what had been anticipated on that site when it was going to be the assisted living, that this is all new.
Got it.
So
We'll
there is,
open it up to the board, so, yeah, please just coordinate through me and I'll acknowledge you. So, Mr. Hands, you have some questions? We're in the questioning period for Liz.
so there is somebody, developer in mind.
I don't know. And
That would be a
and-
question for the mayor and for the
I know,
committee in
I just thought you
Lavender.
said that.
No, I'm just, if there is a prospective developer, or if there is a concept plan, that those regulations were probably based on a concept plan. I can't speak, and honestly, it shouldn't matter. If you have specific issues with the redevelopment plan, yeah,
I do have one on there, so I'm moving
Yes.
on basic question here.
yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
please.
I have to point this out. This doesn't refer to this. So, what are you supposed to do?
Well, right, and this is coming up in a lot of towns, and a couple of things, and that's why I was saying that the housing element is an element in the master plan. And this is consistent with that housing element that this board adopted in June.
Is the focus then on the housing element only, or is
Both.
there other stuff as well?
It's both. I mean, I think that it's clearly
So
The
I think
housing
this
element.
should be amended.
Well, the housing element
Oh, I
is a
see.
component of the master plan.
Yes, yes, but you're saying in addition, the,
I would indicate that there's a lot of this is irrelevant, to be honest. So I'd focus on the 2023 master plan, but that does open up the question, how much of this is now consistent with this as opposed to the old plan?
well, what I would say is that we had some language in there, first of all, about providing for our affordable housing, our fair share of affordable housing. That's one of the goals of our master plan and one of the objectives. And I think we also had some language about taking a hard look at Valley Road, which is, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not advocating either way, but I think that it's not, my recommendation to you, you take it or not, is that this is not inconsistent.
What we can do is we can provide to the township committee a comment which indicates that on page 6, the planning board would like to include a reference to the most recent master plan together with the housing element and fair share plan as adopted in, what's that date?
Our plan?
Yes.
Oh, I think it was December 2023.
Yes.
Yeah.
The master plan was December of 2023.
Right, but the
But the
housing element.
But
Oh,
the housing
it
element was after
It was
that.
June 2025. I can give it to you.
25, so it was June of
About 6
25.
months later.
I can,
Just so we're clear, so adopted, master plan adopted
December of 2023.
2023. This is a very simple fix that we can
So,
put in there.
question along those lines is, if it was approved by the town council before that update, is it relying on the master plan as of the time rather than the current one?
Well, this redevelopment plan is being introduced right now.
Right, so, but
So it has to comply with this one right now.
so it doesn't matter the date that the town council approved the area?
No,
Okay, so everything is as of today, there's no retroactive due to
Right,
the
right.
last approval timeframe?
good
right,
question.
'cause
The redevelopment plan is based on what is material right now, what the law is at the moment.
Okay, so
and
it's
the,
not
and the
retro.
designation is separate, right? The designation, which was happened several years ago, is totally separate from the plan.
Yes.
Okay.
The designation hinges on whether or not it's an area that's ripe for redevelopment, and it really doesn't matter what any other law says, because the redevelopment law transcends other laws. It's, we call it legal spot zoning.
Yeah.
Here's the question I would have. If Jessica grabbed the section plan consistency review from something previous when we were looking at the assisted living, maybe what we're talking about here is just a miss on her part, having to gone back and edit that and add 2023, because the date on this document is 2026,
Correct.
Right.
right?
Correct.
And like,
Correct.
so in the corporate world, you know what I would do right now? I'd get her on the phone and ask her, is this a miss?
Well, we can't do that, and we are considering it right now, this resolution. So what the board can do is simply to put this comment in Exhibit A1 that will go back to the Township Committee, simply indicating that this language should be altered so that it reflects reality.
Right.
But here's my problem.
Yes.
We have to kick it back to the TC. This needs to be done by the 15th of March, which is 5 days away, which happens to land on a Sunday, so we have 3 days.
You have less
That's
than,
right.
No, we
Yeah.
have,
Right?
Township
you
committee
have less
meets
than that.
tomorrow.
It has to
So-
be before the TC.
So,
Yeah.
we received this yesterday, all right? So here's going to be my pitch to the TC. We received this yesterday, and here we're asking fundamental questions saying, is this really consistent? I haven't really reviewed against the master plan. And the master plan is mentioned 8 times and has a chapter all in of to itself. And I'm starting to pick out things just with a quick read that I did that I've got some issues with. With the height,
Yes.
parking, where does the height start? Because if you think of some of the other buildings that we've had that are going to be developed here, it starts at the first floor. You don't count the parking area underneath. So where does that grade start? Now we're talking about, oh, it's midpoint of the roof, of a slanted roof. I have an issue with that. We don't talk about circulation. You try to walk across that street over there, you can't get across the street from, there's no access. You try to put a sidewalk, you got Primavera to the right, you've got the club, I'm forgetting the club to the left,
Yep.
the lodge to the left. There's nowhere to put a sidewalk. there's a sidewalk in front of Primavera, but it ends right at the driveway. If you go past that to the west, there's no sidewalk. There's no way to get across the street from there. That's another issue that I have.
So, actually, Yolanta, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I don't believe we have to get every bulk item
Correct.
answered. It has to be, in principle, exactly what you said right from the beginning.
Yes.
It is consistent with the master plan. We're not asking whether the height is, all that can be edited or,
Right.
But it's in the
Well, they'll be-
document.
they'll be-
I
they'll be
understand it.
Before us with an application.
They will be with the
That's
site
right.
plan
Right.
application.
That's right.
Which then.
at which point,
So, but I think in fairness to what Tom's saying, so, because it's a really good line of probing, if we approve this, does this put us in a bad position with regards to an applicant coming in?
Well, the planning board is not approving this. The planning board is only stating whether or not the board believes that it is not inconsistent with the master plan as it is right now, and also providing any commentary to the township committee that it wishes. Even if the board right now finds this to be wholly inconsistent with the master plan, the township committee at its next meeting can still adopt this redevelopment plan with a majority vote of its full authorized membership.
Understood.
Yolanta, can we include in our comments, like a provision stating that we reserve the right to change, like, these provisions if they come before us or something? Or not, and by we, I mean the township committee.
Well, then that's for the township committee to decide.
Right, but can we put that in our notes to send to the township committee? To add as,
Well, I was gonna ask something along those lines. I was
Great.
gonna suggest, is it legal for us to suggest to the township committee that we remove any bulk requirements?
Exactly.
For the zone?
Exactly.
No,
They can't.
No, I mean, first of all, it was introduced, and secondly, this has to be, I mean, it's not just the township committee that has to adopt it, it has to go to the court.
yes,
And if this doesn't provide a realistic opportunity,
it's going to get
But what
kicked
happens
back.
if the board wants to amend those
see,
bulk requirements?
The
after
board
the fact?
cannot amend the bulk
I would-
requirements.
what I would suggest is, well, in the best case scenario, you get this, you get your judgment of compliance on March 15th, and then you look at it again.
Yeah, but
But
if
what
we
can you
can't
do?
change
on
the
what
bulk.
grounds?
Yeah,
Then,
That politically, that you don't agree with what's in the plan or
But-
whatever, there's no,
but that has to come from the township committee, because what happens when you introduce an ordinance, it is what it is. This is being sent to you, what was introduced is being sent to you. If the township committee proceeds to change something material about this ordinance, they have to start the introduction process again. You're not allowed to go back and amend something materially and then proceed to public hearing and
so
adoption.
what defines materiality?
Well, taking out the bulk standards is pretty
Sure.
material.
yeah, I mean, there's.
It's pretty
there's a
material.
court order that this site has to produce a certain amount of units.
Yes.
And that's a court order, and so.
167.
Once you start messing with height and setback, you're potentially taking away the potential, like, the
Correct.
realistic.
Correct.
Number of units
So-
that you need.
is it that we just amend this ordinance down the road if we want to?
That's what I would suggest that.
Okay, so
yeah.
it's not that like we are absolutely bound by this without any sort of,
I mean, that's up to the TC,
Yes.
obviously.
right,
Yes.
I
It-
understand all
it's
that, I'm
circular,
just
it
saying.
feels
Yeah.
like,
Which is-
right?
Alright, does that help Tom at all with knowing
Right.
that like there
Yeah.
is recourse down the road?
which is why I would suggesting with Yolanta,
No.
put verbiage in there that the planning board has concerns,
Yes,
a number of concerns, such as, you
Yes.
don't have to be exhaustive, height,
Can-
width, color.
Another,
Wouldn't go with color, though.
another question, can the board request that the TC provide to the board reasons why these bulk standards were provided? In other words, so perhaps the site.
so I can tell you why they were, because there's a plan that was provided to Jessica, it's a concept
No,
plan.
I know that, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that, but see, the board's not aware of that, okay? They haven't been informed.
No.
And there could be site restrictions like DEP issues or other things that the reason why these bulk standards are now in this resolution are what they landed on. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
We have two members of the township
Right.
committee here.
Exactly.
If you'd like to, this is your moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I think we need to come back to the
The board.
board. This is my big concern. None of us had the opportunity, since this document was dated as of the 23rd of February, we only got it yesterday. And I have not really been able to do a deep dive, side-by-side comparison to make sure that it is consistent with
I have
the.
I have full-word answer for you, Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Jones. Welcome to our world. That's the nature of this beast.
Yes, it
If
is.
I can just elaborate on an
23rd, my
example.
friend. I can't argue
And
that.
this will just build on what Tom is saying, that there's inconsistencies with the master plan.
That's
And
fine.
allow me to cite you an example. Master plan under the redevelopment says, consider increasing maximum permitted height on environmentally constrained areas. This BD zone currently is 2 stories, 35, and then it says greater heights can be tied to greater setbacks in order to avoid a canyon-like feel on Valley Road. 15 feet setback is not a greater setback than what we currently have, and it will create that canyon-like
The one thing,
feel.
and this is true, when you have to keep in mind with affordable housing, it's something Yolanta said earlier, it's spot zoning. We're not saying everything on the BD on Long Valley Road can be 15 feet back or however high. It's this one site.
And we're going to end up looking like, Berkeley Heights, that has housing practically on their sidewalk.
Well, this is just the one site that we're being asked
And-
in the plan now.
It is. It's only
Yeah.
one site. It's the redevelopment zone, and not, other portions of the BD are not in the redevelopment zone. It's only this one lot. So this is
Well-
the only thing that you're being asked to see whether it's, consistent with the master plan, not the BD zone, not the zoning ordinance, but the master plan as a whole. And the master plan, the housing element, does contain this within it.
I will say that
Specifically.
this planning board has done a really good job with some of the rezoning that's been done on Valley Road to make sure that it's not sitting on top of Valley Road. And I know that the ORC has had that's the Ordinance Review Committee, has discussed what to do with the Valley Road and the setbacks on the business district. And we want that to be a vibrant business district. So I'm not trying to take away from that. But I do have some concerns with what is written here, that it has not been properly vetted. So my position right now is I think it is inconsistent
Okay.
with the master plan, and I will probably either abstain or vote no, is my position.
Okay.
This is the first time that I've seen anything close to 5 stories, 70 feet. Do we have any building in town that's 70 feet tall? 5 stories, 70 feet, maximum height of the
On the
north building.
Page 7,
Page 7.
bottom of page 7, the table.
That's totally inconsistent.
Yeah, right. I was looking at 50 feet intervals.
Right, so
No, but this is
So-
maximum
no, no,
building
no, no.
height.
stanchions behind this property that are 150 feet.
Yeah.
What's
So we had
behind,
no say over
what's
the
behind?
electrical stanchions that go
Yeah.
bisect our town.
Yeah, that's a
Well,
little
yeah.
different from a building, though.
That's
Yeah,
in the
I'll
power
go.
right of way. That's in the power of right of way.
It's
Yeah.
definitely a
That's a right
different
of way.
You have no
footprint,
control
though.
over that.
This is a
Well, it's a
big
right of way.
Of
footprint.
course.
Yeah, because previously, on the
So-
height, just on the height.
I'm
All
with
right,
Tom. I
can we-
can't
can we
approve.
let's draw back to questions that we have for Liz with regards to her review, because we are having to greatly rely upon Liz and her professional expertise in regards to the consistency.
Well, what's the absolute minimum that we have to provide for bulk requirements?
I don't think I would advise not getting into the bulk requirements tonight, except to say in the Exhibit A that you have
Yes.
Concerns.
You have concerns.
a lot of concerns
We
about
can
them.
list out all of the
But I wouldn't
concerns that you
try to-
have.
I wouldn't try to rezone it or redesign it here
But-
tonight.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It sounds like the problem is, and maybe I'm wrong here, but once we send it to the town council, it's up to them to send it back to us, right? So even if we note the concerns.
I think it's up to them to pass it at this point.
Yes.
Right.
Not
No,
to
it's
say
not
this-
coming
this-
back.
this is-
It's not coming back.
To reopen it,
Oh,
it's
down the
got,
road.
down the
Yes,
road, it's
yes.
gotta come from them.
Yes.
It's, so, once we approve, we have to rely on them to send it back. So the concerns that are coming up here do not have to be addressed in a formal manner by the town council, unless I'm misunderstanding.
Correct.
Can this be something that does it have to come from the town council, or can the org handle this down the road?
No, it has to, anything that has to do with rewriting legislation, ordinances, has to start with the legislative body, which is the Township Committee. And if the Township Committee wishes to have its own attorney draft their ordinances, then Jack Pigeon is perfectly capable of doing so. If the Township Committee believes that the planning board is better equipped to draft certain land use ordinances, then they can certainly send it to the planning board, and then the board chairman can determine whether or not to send it to the ORC for drafting.
But the one thing, if this board decides tonight, and it's valid, that this is not consistent, the TC can still adopt it.
Yes.
You know,
That-
it's not a.
That's absolutely 100%,
They
but I
wanna
think
do
this
it.
board as a responsible body needs to cast the vote that they feel is appropriate.
That's fine, that's fine. I don't argue that point, but I guess my point is that we're not adopting it, right? We're just making a recommendation or on consistency.
Yeah, my suggestion, if it were to go down that path where this board would vote no, I would ask you to elucidate, look at me using big words, why?
I think it's very clear why.
It's
No, but it has to
inconsistent
be
with the
listed.
master
No, it
plan.
has
Yeah.
to be
We're
clear.
going to
It
put
has
it in
be
writing
clear.
as an exhibit.
Sure, you have to
What we
do the
discussed
example.
There's an
before,
example.
previous plans and anything subsequent to those plans, for things like 35 floors, 3 stories, 45 feet, even 4 stories, 55, nowhere near 4 and 65 and 70.
Right,
So very, very clearly, there's a couple of minor other things,
right.
but fundamentally,
That's the big one.
Everything else is ready to go. There's things on trees and stuff and whatever.
Right.
This is the big one, and it's absolutely inconsistent with everything we discussed.
Can we,
over the
can we,
last 5 years.
can we dig into that, because our professional
Every-
originally said it's not inconsistent, and I hear contradictions here, so let's get specific about where we have a disconnect with our professional. You said the height.
Yeah.
Liz, why is that height not inconsistent?
Well, what I was suggesting is that this ordinance is not inconsistent with the housing element of the master plan, which is what we adopted here
Okay, so
at
your
this
scope
board.
is a little bit smaller.
It's a little bit smaller. I think some of the specific bulk requirements, I would say that I share the board's concerns. But I think that it's not necessarily our task tonight.
Trouble is, not to interrupt, the
Yeah.
trouble is, if we don't, nothing's gonna happen, and this is gonna go forward, as it's written, guarantee 100%.
It does have to go forward, though. as-
But it
Yeah.
becomes,
Not-
but
not-
Mr.
not
Hands,
with this, not with
Yeah,
this.
is
Mr.
there a way
Hands.
the
With the
TC can
plans that are gonna follow on
proactively
from this.
make a
But it
decision to
comes with
send this back to
credibility
us
on
in
how
a
we
month or
vote.
two or
Correct.
right? When we send a message
No,
to
no,
the
I know,
TC,
but once
regardless of how we
pass
vote, we
this-
send a message to the TC
And then-
Oh,
that
we will
says,
send it.
this is what we're seeing,
I think-
this is our
I think
opinion.
Put on your hand-
We don't
handshake
like
on
the
that.
height,
I think this
we
is
don't
a
like,
10% of
I don't like the fact that I don't have a demarcation as to where
the state.
height is measured from, because we've had an example in this town where somebody put a parking garage under the building, and they said, we don't start measuring until the first living floor.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
I'm completely with it, because I don't believe, if we pass it, whatever is gonna happen, I don't think this is gonna come back ever to us.
That's
So,
exactly what
so
I
I think
think.
that, so,
Hold on, let's get some more, yes. Yep.
so I guess I'm confused because we're saying that we're not gonna go through all the bulk requirements and note everything, but now we wanna note everything so that the town council knows. So are we going page by page to?
No, what we said before is we're not removing anything, because, or we're not even suggesting that it be removed, because the board doesn't have the authority to remove anything. The board is being tasked with review, comments, and a consistency determination. So, if the board has any issue with anything that is in the bulk standards, I will put that into Exhibit A1 to forward to the Township Committee so that they can consider it either before the adoption of this ordinance or perhaps in the future before anything else is implemented about this. So, you know, it's important now to tell the Township Committee in this exhibit what your concerns are about the, so I've heard height, that it's too high. And
Parking.
that
I have a concern with parking too.
And parking. And
Okay.
what would you limit the height to? What is the maximum
Like I
height?
said before,
So-
we had 35, 45 and 44, 55. I would not go above 455.
Yeah.
Okay, Yolanta, I think Tony's question was that we're not going through this, but in order to make comments, we do have to go through this.
Right, so,
So I.
Oh, no, of course. No,
So-
and that's why we're here. We do
Right.
have to go through it.
Right, so, but maybe we do that with Don with some,
Yes.
yeah, so,
Guidance.
We want to do it with a little alacrity, so we're not here designing this poor site.
A lot of big words are
The-
being
yes,
used here tonight.
the other question I have in the resolution is, Liz, what I'm hearing is that we're pretty much saying is consistent with the housing element. I know that's a component of the town master plan, but could we be more and feel more comfortable if we just reference the housing element? Would that help alleviate some of the concerns also that the board is raising? Because the housing element is written in a very different way than some of what we've put in the master plan. Does that hurt our ability?
No, you can still say that the planning board hereby finds and determines that the redevelopment plan is consistent with the town's master plan, comma, specifically the housing element.
But we have to leave the master plan in there.
Yes,
Yeah.
because that's what we're looking at.
Right.
Consistency with the
Not
master plan.
inconsistent.
That's under the land use, the municipal land use law.
That's
right?
under the redevelopment and housing law.
Gotcha, okay.
Can I just, point of clarification, so we had one applicant for site plans that are not going forward, and it was determined to get 167 units on this plot of land. These were the bulk requirements. Aren't there other experts? Maybe parking can be underground, maybe there's a site, ceiling heights can come down. Other things that can be done to still get that 167 without having this excessive height and extremely close to the road. We're just looking at one person's plans.
Well, I think we've lodged the height concern,
Yes,
and we lodged the setback.
Setback,
there's a
Concern?
setback.
parking, I have a concern
And
with
which
parking.
setback is
Hold
this?
on, hold on, hold
The
on.
front yard setback?
Let's get specific.
Front yard.
I mean, wouldn't it be faster just to list
Yeah.
like,
Say
everything,
the
like, go down by
master-
line?
Say
and
the planning board has a
Yeah,
just
problem
more-
with everything, and it needs to
Well, I
come
was just
back.
going around to each person, but however you want to.
I would go person by person, because it seems like everyone's got their minds on what they want to address. I think Pam,
Yeah, so
Ms.
Pam-
Ojens has already listed her height and the parking, right?
Setback,
And the
And setback.
front yard
Front
setback.
setback?
height,
Front, let's be specific, the front setback,
the
right?
front back, yeah, the setback of
Okay, so
15.
I mean, it's addressing specifically the canyon effect, I guess. is what-
Exactly,
yeah, of course.
exactly, and that's in the master plan.
Right.
So the minimum front yard is 15 feet,
Right.
Right.
and the idea is that it should be greater than 15.
And that's specifically, as I quoted to you in the master plan, that yes, we can have greater heights, but they have to be tied to greater setbacks.
Okay.
And this is
Okay,
not,
to account for the
this is
greater.
not exhibiting
height.
that. In parking, our land use 151.1-C, off-site parking for apartments, and is 2 parking spots per unit. This is listed at 1.6 per unit. So.
Is this RSIS?
It's not necessarily, but it, I mean, the problem is I didn't write this.
No,
So
I know, I understand.
I can only tell you that
You'll
one
get your
point
turn.
six is not crazy. It's low.
So
It's low, but it's not.
my recommendation then for the
Yeah.
parking is use the RACA.
Use
and
RSIS.
That, we should use that to get a proper determination made on that.
Okay, I mean, all right.
I had the same concern as Tom brought out about the midpoint of a pitched roof versus why not the top of the roof for the measurement.
This is measurement of height.
Yeah, this is on page 8, and it's line, it's under 5.
So height should be measured from the top rather than the midpoint
That's, yes.
from the ridge.
The parking is inconsistent with land use 151.1C. And
Again, this is not
I know.
changing the zoning. You just have to keep that in mind. It's really site specific.
I think
Yes.
we're documenting what it is, the concerns that we have.
I understand, but I'm just saying, we're not changing it for the whole town. It's
But-
just
but-
this one
but-
site.
But
Yes.
the mayor's after a list, he's gonna get a list.
All right.
You wanted a list, Mayor.
I-
You will have
yes.
you will have a list.
so those are the inconsistencies that I picked up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, yes, so, Mr. Laviera, would you like to, have anything to add? I think we don't need to rehash things that
Right,
have been
right,
brought
without
up.
rehashing what's been
Right.
said,
Mhm.
okay? Because a couple of those issues were on my list, so I'm gonna leave them off. The other thing that I was concerned about is how it was consistent with the circulation element. Because when I look at that location, and I look at the current traffic light locations, I'm really struggling with what you're doing at the corner of ShopRite, 150 feet past that, and then the Sterling Road traffic light by the what now is a Wendy's, right? You could literally end up with 3 traffic lights to allow circulation from 160 units onto Valley Road. And I don't think that that's well thought out from a circulation perspective.
I would just note, we'd actually have no control over that, because it's not our roadway.
That's okay, because I have something for.
Okay,
Councilman,
all right,
I have
okay.
something.
I'm not criticizing your
that's okay.
complaint, I'm just saying, I
No.
don't know why it's,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Okay,
And I will note that in the plan, it does talk about an or for the parking being below ground.
Mhm.
It-
So
it does say
there
that.
is an or
Mhm.
that implies that would be an acceptable option,
Mhm.
right? And that would have an impact on height, clearly, right? So beyond that, those were my thoughts.
Okay,
So would you say that the board would encourage underground parking or not?
I would say encourage,
Encourage.
It's if it can be accomplished.
right?
And I also want to know, where does the measurement start? Does it start at around the dirt line or first living space?
What I would say.
Measurement
That's not in
height.
here.
Yeah, I would,
The way our ordinance is written is from lowest grade,
Oh, you can.
lowest
Well, we
grade,
had this
so it would be
issue-
parking.
We had the issue over here with the Gillette redevelopment, where it is, they came at us and they said, no, it starts at the first living space, and right below that is the parking garage, and they said, nope, you can't count that as part of the height.
Well, it says here, height in this zone is measured from the proposed grade around each individual building foundation. This is on page 8,
Page 8.
under additional use and bulk standards.
Number 5.
Number 5.
yeah, Ken,
Measured from
Pam, we're gonna
proposed grade.
move down the line.
Uh-huh, yep.
Okay, thank you.
that was my question.
Scott, do you wanna participate, in giving a list to the mayor, or you got, how would you like to handle it? It's up to you.
No, I'll defer to the rest because I'm on the committee.
Yep, understood.
I think, I will make a comment, though, is, kind of doing this in the dark from the stats, right, numbers, and not seeing the concept plan.
Yep.
And furthermore, I'd caution everybody, life is full of compromises, and we have a number to hit. And there's a penalty for not hitting that number. And you can decide whether you want to concentrate that number somewhere in town that you might not like it, but it could absorb it, or do you want to spread it out all over town,
Fair point.
right?
Good point.
And
Yeah.
so keep the compromise in mind, keep an open mind. Anybody wants to see this, what it looks like,
What is it?
this is the concept plan.
That's it?
Those 5 stories are in the back, they're not on the street, there's an open corridor connecting the 2 things. They're trying to make something attractive. and yet help us hit our numbers.
Yep.
Right?
Sure, but part of it is we don't know if the units are 500 square feet or 2,000 square. feet,
Because
right?
you don't have the plan in front of you, all you
That's
have is
exactly
some
right.
numbers.
Are they
That's the
one,
problem,
two,
we don't
three
have the
bedroom?
plan.
That's it.
That's
Right.
exactly, we're
To-
shooting blind.
To
here.
further,
We should-
I'm not gonna advocate in one direction or other, but what I will add to Committeeman Lavender's statement, and please correct me if I'm wrong. This site was deemed a site in need of redevelopment
Yes.
by this
Fair
board
point.
years ago. That being said, and again, I'm not advocating on one direction or another, but that being said, when the township committee is going over with a potential developer and again, trying to align everything, the needs, the et cetera, to meet our legal obligations. Because it's a site for redevelopment, there are going to be a number of compromises that normally would not be.
The other thing I'll mention is the tax revenue that this site's returning right now is not exciting.
45 grand.
Right. If
You
that,
mean the
if that
existing-
assisted living had gone through, the tax revenues would have gone from 40 up to 500.
Immediately, a million plus in
Right.
a year, whatever.
Right, so, you know, there's a lot of different dimensions to a problem. We'd all prefer not to be building in town.
Right.
Mr.
Anyway, I'm done with my comments.
Mr. Haynes?
Oh, so it's a cart before the horse, right? The township will seek a redeveloper. We have a plan, that's not will.
It's a concept plan, and it's not ours.
No, I know, but, so we're the fine. We never agreed to these heights before, we made that point clear, hopefully. And I just have a minor stupid comment, landscaping is still indigenous, we just put non-invasive species, which
Yes.
is what we said in the master plan. It's a real master plan, not the old one. I'm good.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm gonna continue, defer down the line. I've got a couple of comments
Me?
at the end. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So on page 12B, pedestrian access circulation, number 2, it says you should put sidewalks along the frontage of Valley Road. 100% stand behind that. Properties left and right have no connecting sidewalk, and there's no way to get across the street without putting a traffic light there. That's my issue. I want a sidewalk there to make it walkable, and that's what we've been promoting, but if you look at a lot of the properties on the north side of Valley Road, it's not very conducive to walking. So I would like that to be addressed. I agree with you that this is about compromise, but we only got this 24 hours ago, so you're getting the first reaction. So I think we should put a comprehensive list together, so this way, the developer and the township committee can look at the concerns and find the compromise.
And by the way, that thing with the crosswalk or light there,
Hmm.
I seem to remember that coming up in the conversations too,
In this conversation, or,
in previous conversations.
yes,
I-
and someone voted no to continuing the sidewalk down Valley Road. I will not share the name, I'll let people go look at the videotape.
Warner Wolf.
That's right. So, those were my 2 pieces. Height's already been addressed. I'd like to know the demarcation. If it says ground level, great, I'm happy with that. But it needs to include, if it's underground parking or first floor parking, that it starts where the dirt line is. That's all I have, Mr.
Would
Chair.
you be
Thank
more
you.
comfortable, never mind. Never mind.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, just
Yes,
one thing.
please,
Somebody,
yes.
I'm just repeating what somebody said, and I don't know who it was, that was concerned about emergency vehicle access. So you should include that in your list to the mayor.
whoever that is.
Yeah, that was Brendan, actually.
No, somebody said it here.
I know,
tonight.
no, but Brendan actually dug into that at the time. There were all kinds of measurements for the size of fire trucks and ladders, this, that, and the other. But put it down in there.
I think Gillette Crossing is 49.9 feet or something. The new building's going down there, so it's not, certainly not 7 feet.
Yeah, then you screen it.
Certainly not 7.
Teresa, yeah.
On page 12, under sign standards, it says one sign up to 16 feet. I think we should just change that to, I forget where we landed on the ordinance,
Yeah.
because we talked about it a few times.
Yeah, story and a
Whatever.
half high and 100 square feet seems kind of big.
I think that should,
How about just to be consistent with the ordinance?
correct, yes.
Yeah. Right.
And then a general comment that I just like, I agree that this is compromise, so I understand the predicament that we're in, and I just would ask the township committee to readdress this down the road, and hopefully we can actually just clean it up.
So-
Actually, a ground sign, 100 square feet,
Yeah.
that's enormous.
That's
Yeah, that's a story and a half high and 6 feet wide.
Right.
You know how many people on bicycles could get in trouble there?
Yeah.
Tony, do you have anything to add?
So I have a question. So the variations in site plan design on page 13. Can you explain it to me where basically we can make it, we can permit exceptions that exceed, but we can't almost have trade-offs, if I'm reading it correctly. So if the way I'm reading that whole section is, if we want to allow 90 feet high, we're perfectly allowed to. But we can't suggest reconfigurations in other ways of compromise. It's only exceeding whatever is in here. Is that?
No. The development plan that will come before the planning board at some point as a site plan approval will have to comply with the standards and the use standards in this redevelopment plan. So for example, if they are permitting, if you permit here residential uses, they can't come back with an industrial use. They cannot come back with a wholly commercial use. They are only allowed to do what this redevelopment allows them to do. Because the planning board is not, it is not within the planning board's jurisdiction or authority to grant D variances. So if they want a height that exceeds the height that is in this redevelopment plan, and that height is exceeded by 10% or 10 feet, they'll need a D variance, which this board cannot grant.
I mean, I was just using that as an example.
Right.
Right, but
This
I'm just
board
saying
cannot grant.
that when the plan comes in, this is the baseline. This is a new baseline that we're working off of.
Yes.
For this site.
This
For
will-
this site
For
and this
just for
site,
this
only
site,
this
yes.
spot zoning.
This will be the legislation, and if they exceed, let's say, the side yard setback, you have the authority to grant that variance to them. If you suggest that they do something on site that then creates an issue where they're violating some setback or something like that, then you have the authority then to grant that, because that's a C variance, which is within your jurisdiction.
But we can't do a trade-off, right? So if they come in and we say, you know what, you want to be a little bit closer, fine, but now you got to be 20 feet off. They can come back and say that this is what was agreed upon, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Right,
what I was.
Right, yes, correct.
So the only other thing is acquisition plan. There's nothing in here right now, right? It says there's no plan, no property acquisition by the township anticipated by this plan. Is that standard? Is that what you put?
That's,
You have to-
that's,
you have
that's
to
like
put it in.
boilerplate, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's but what happens if we do decide, right? So, right now, there's obviously no plans. The town isn't gonna do it. We're thinking about going third-party developer, but falls through. We still have to meet the requirements, which we've talked about repeatedly here. And let's say the town decides to,
Well,
how does that work in practicality to,
I wasn't here when this site was designated, but my understanding that is that it was designated as a non-condemnation area in need of redevelopment, which means that the township has not reserved any condemnation powers to itself. So they cannot acquire this. That's why that's in here, because it's a non-condemnation area in need. The township would have to designate it a condemnation area in need for the township to then acquire condemnation powers and be able to acquire this
why
parcel.
does the town need condemnation powers if it buys it at a free market price? I understand the point of condemnation, you would go back to 2022, get a value as of that time, but
Well,
My understanding, because I'm dealing with this in another town, is even if it's a friendly sale,
yes.
yeah, that's what I mean.
condemnation powers allow, in case
talks fall
In case
apart.
the friendliness
Yeah.
falls apart, and it often does.
Yep.
And under the redevelopment law, that's the only way to do it. So it's either, and you have to designate it as such. It is now a requirement of the redevelopment law. We used to be able to say just area in need of redevelopment. Now it's a requirement to say either non-condemnation or condemnation. We actually have to actually put that in our designation now, by law.
Right.
Mr. Chair, can I
Yes,
say
please, yeah.
So, and I like when I sit next to the attorney, because when I start coloring outside the lines, Jack will often just like kick me. You're too far away to kick me. I would remind this board that the owner of this property is also the owner of 2 other properties in town, so this friendliness aspect to it, there's a strong encouragement for them to work with the township. Would I have gotten kicked if I was sitting next to you?
No,
All right.
I mean, it's all, it's
Where you
public
sit, guys.
record.
Right, I know.
I just meant if it falls apart, right? Because the whole conversation is, and I'm not against building in the town, right? And I don't think, that's not the point of some of the commentary here. But if we need to approve it, and we started off by talking that we had the one objection because was it feasible based on the plan? So the fallback is, if this falls through and we have to do something, where the town has to step in, should there be something noted in the acquisition plan, in that boilerplate section? Is there a boilerplate sentence or something we can put in so it doesn't have to come back, almost being proactive in that section?
Well, no, I mean, if it falls apart, all of this falls apart.
Yeah.
And the township committee now has to have a whole new redevelopment plan drafted and go through the whole process again. If there's something in here that doesn't work, it's back to the drawing board. And Fair Share Housing Center is going to probably be babysitting this and ensuring that it happens, that the township is proactive in making it happen again. I mean, there's a very good chance. I mean, it could happen. Anything can happen, where the developer could walk away and say,
Sure.
well, this doesn't work for us financially.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, can I say something? And perhaps Yolanta or Liz, you can opine on it. The reason why I see that as less dangerous in this moment, in years past, you negotiated a settlement. For example, our round 3 was 54.
Right.
When we know darn well the number was significantly higher than that.
Right.
It was a negotiated number.
Right.
This number was assigned. So if this were to maybe fall off the rails a little bit, our number's still gonna be 102.
Correct.
And we're still going to meet that number somehow or some way. We
Correct.
wouldn't be forced, it was a lot harder, well, it was a little bit more scary in the past, because if you didn't accommodate the number,
Correct.
you were subject to something that could be unfriendly from
Correct.
Fair Share.
Correct.
There was, in the 3rd round, people may remember the thermoplastic site was in the housing plan initially, and that didn't work out, and then they had to go down the road and make up the units.
Oh,
The-
the units will be made up. If
Yeah.
not on this site,
Right.
then in some other
But
site.
to Liz's point, I mean, we received encouragement
Right.
from Fair Share in that moment. When that deal fell through, we were encouraged to work very closely with the owner of the property that you're referring to, Liz, and the number was no longer 90, it was 130, and we were strongly encouraged to take the 130. The property owner calmed down a little bit, and we reverted back to the original number. My point is, I don't see that kind of issue this time. Look, these are, honestly, if I were on this board and not the mayor, I mean, we would have the same concerns.
All right, I just have a couple of files so we can round out our comments here. Specifically, the one concern I had was this very prescriptive 50-foot tree frontage. It kind of goes to the setback that Pam mentioned. On B, on page 12, item B, a minimum of 1 street tree per 50 feet. That should really be reviewed and consistent with the rest of the frontage. Unless we're gonna set, again, deliberately, a street tree frontage specification, which I'm not aware of right now. along Valley, so I would want that to be more flexible, possibly even a tighter spacing. And then specifically back to what we're being asked to pass as a resolution, I would feel much better to have the suggestion of the addition of specifically the housing element of the master plan in the resolution itself. And then I also noticed we're missing a reference to, in the resolution itself, right up here, introduced, I think that's supposed to be a number.
Yes, the ordinance number,
Do we
we'll fill
have that?
we'll fill that in, sure.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure we don't miss that. Is there any other questions in regards to the actual resolution? I know we've looked at the plan.
Don, if I just one quick, very quick, just to double check something. Liz, is the 167 residential units what we stipulated in the fair share discussion?
It is in the housing plan, the 167,
So that number is
20% set aside, yes.
And so they're trying to meet it by doing the sizing that they've suggested.
That's right.
So there's 34,
33, actually.
33. So it's not 167
No,
is in there, it's just the 33
Yeah.
is listed in
Yeah,
there,
it's
as a point of clarification.
No, can you, let me double check. I actually think both are in the housing plan.
So if you wanted to build 33 all affordable units
Right.
based on the housing plan, you couldn't, you have to build 167?
I think
No.
that's correct. Let me
Well,
just-
because of what we're agreeing to.
Right, but if we decide to just build 33 to meet the requirements, could they still have an objection to the
Well,
plan?
Yeah, the housing plan says 167 unit multifamily rental development, which will have 20% set aside.
If this developer wanted to give the township 33 affordable units and
Okay.
nothing else,
Right.
I'm sure they would take it, and no developer would ever do that.
Right, trust me, I
Unless by
understand.
court order.
It's more of a question of what's actually in there, right? Is
Yeah.
it the housing, total number of housing units, or was it just the affordable units?
Mr. Chair, can I point something out
It's
here?
both.
Sure.
And actually, very good point. And I would remind this board, or maybe you are not aware, typically these things include 15% set aside.
Yes.
Part of the agreement, the negotiating, was that they would make it 20%, and that's not irrelevant.
No, that's.
That actually-
Yeah,
No,
15 is
and
minimum.
I totally get it. I was
No.
just trying to understand.
No, but
what
I,
the point
all of a
was.
sudden it hit me,
Yeah.
when you reminded me that it's 20%,
Yeah.
not 15,
Yeah.
that was part of the
In conjunction.
negotiation.
Is the court or Fair Share Housing Center gonna complain if 33 units, it's 100% affordable and the plan has changed? I doubt it.
Okay,
No,
But
it
the
absolutely won't
plan
be.
does say 167.
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what's being proposed, that's what the redevelopment plan is being, drafted to cover. And it is in the plan, so that's what ties it together, is that's what was conceived in the first place, and that's why it's here. But if the township, if this were to fall apart, sometimes they do, sometimes redevelopments do fall apart for one reason or another, the township would have to locate some other place to put 33 more units.
Right.
Thermoplastics, perfect example.
Yep, that fell apart.
Because of the flooding.
But you
Yeah.
can't do it.
Right, fell apart.
Okay, so let's wrap this up with respect to, my hope is a motion.
Can we go
Pass this
over
resolution.
what the planning board comments are, so I can make sure that we have everything? So the comments that the planning board has, that will be relayed to the township committee and will be in Exhibit A1, which I will email to the board secretary today, so that we can have them, is that on page 6, we need to include reference to the most recent master plan adopted December of 2023, together with the housing element and fair share plan as adopted in June 2025. The concerns with regard to certain bulk standards, specifically, height should be limited to 45 feet. The height should be measured from the ground dirt level to the ridge rather than the midpoint that's located on page 8. The ground line to the ridge. The front yard setback should be greater than 15 feet to account for the greater height. Parking should be calculated according to the RSIS. And the township should encourage underground parking if it can be accomplished. Landscaping should include non-invasive species. They need to ensure that emergency vehicles will be able to access and circulate throughout the site. On page 12, the sign standards will be consistent with the ordinance, and the sign that is depicted in that, on that page 12 under sign standards, that also has to be limited to be consistent with the ordinance. The street tree standards, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, should be consistent with the rest of Valley Road and should provide for tighter spacing, more flexibility in that regard. And there was discussion, and this I want to discuss for a minute, on page 12 regarding the sidewalks that should be provided on the site. Is it the planning board's recommendation that they be provided or not be provided? Be provided.
Yeah.
Okay, so we keep it the way that it is?
Yes.
Okay.
How
And
they're
then,
gonna connect left and right, I'm not sure. How they're gonna get people across the street, but I want sidewalks.
well,
That's,
generally, what happens sometimes is when you do require a redevelopment to do sidewalks, then the township can have the other property owners continue those sidewalks, or the township can get grants, or if it's a county road, the county can install the sidewalks, but it starts somewhere.
Right,
It starts somewhere.
You have no hope if you don't start. with the
Then
first
you have
type.
no hope if you don't start
I think
somewhere.
that-
And now, anything about the crosswalk or the light, because there was discussion, is there anything that you want in here?
No,
the sidewalks will be able to incorporate where the lights are today.
Okay.
That should foster the continuation of sidewalk development on the properties that don't have sidewalks currently.
How about just a provision that be looked at though for crossing, because there really isn't.
Could be that could
I
be a
mean, the
concern.
closest crossings are way down here, Walgreens,
Greens and ShopRite.
and ShopRite. Look at that, you're right in the middle between those two
That's
areas.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
And,
Okay,
Mr.
how
Chair-
about this?
Oh, sorry.
The planning board also recommends that the township encourage the creation of sidewalks all along Valley Road.
Correct.
Um,
Yes. To promote, to
For
foster
public, yeah,
Which I think is
Safety.
consistent with the master plan.
that's
Yeah.
definitely consistent with the master plan.
Walkability,
Say that, yeah.
walkability.
Mr. Chair, I was just
Put
gonna,
a cross
or
here.
Yolanta, I was going to remind you that Robert's point about circulation, both vehicular and pedestrian, I don't think you mentioned it. You wanted us to look at
to
that,
drive in and out?
I believe.
What was the recommendation?
Well, I'll let Robert speak, he speaks more eloquently
I
than
think
I
he
do.
was concerned about multiple traffic lights in a quarter-mile area.
But I think Liz said it's not.
But we don't have jurisdiction over that,
No,
that
it's a
part.
county road.
Right,
It's a
that's what
county
was
road.
said. But it's still a concern. You're gonna end up with 3 traffic lights.
Or people having to cross into that driveway. You know,
Yeah.
Not just walking, but just traffic trying to make the turn in. Anyone traveling east has to cross over the westbound traffic.
Where is it? What page is it?
And then the last thing was the sign,
Yeah,
right?
what page is
She
that
just
on?
said that.
Yeah, so.
You have the sign.
The sign,
Yeah.
to comply with the sign ordinance, so it's not as large. Because the sign ordinance doesn't
You're
allow
looking
for
a
something
page
that
for
big.
Rich?
Yes, the circulation is on what?
Oh, yeah,
Well, where's circulation you pointed out?
Well, circulation standards is also on page 12.
Page 12.
But it's really superficial in the description. It just says the primary access points will be from Valley Road. Yeah, but you're basically ignoring that half the traffic's gonna wanna be coming either, westbound, trying to turn north across Valley Road to get in, or coming out east, coming out from the property and wanting to turn westbound. And all that traffic's gonna be across Valley Road.
I I think that's
Side-
covered
that's
in,
the
number 3 on page 12 of the circulation standards, A3, where it says access and right-of-way dedication, if required, will be subject to the requirements of Morris County, since it is a county road.
Okay.
So any access, if they
Okay.
have to have a crosshatch or painted or some crosswalk or something like
Yep.
that, they have to get,
And the township committee is very aware of that, as was the Board of Adjustment
Mm-hmm.
back when I think it was the Board of Adjustment that Walgreens, was it this board? I forget who.
So,
Sorry.
But my only
Sorry.
point is,
Common
you could
zone.
see the way the circulation worked there, where you had to have 2 exits, so you could make a left or a right. And one of the reasons why the committee worked with the owner of the Walgreens property to get access to that light for the park across the street, because we went to the county, and the county categorically said, don't come to us for another light, we're not gonna do it.
right.
So we needed to have access, we, the township, access to that light. So this complicates things now,
Yes.
doesn't it?
It does.
So I don't know what the solution is, so pointing out that it is a problem should be. Which is why I remembered what you said, and I said add it.
And the redevelopment plan does address it, because it is a county road. So and this plan may change, because they still have to go to the county for an approval as well. So once the county takes a look at this, that may slightly change their development, depending on what conditions the county provides.
Because there's the potential I'm not saying this is the case,
Right.
but the county may wanna reserve some land.
I-
They may wanna.
Correct.
Request that something not
Yep.
be too close in the event that they have to widen at some future
So-
date.
Yes.
But-
So how do we
Not that that-
ensure
point.
this
It's
exhibit
interesting,
gets
yeah.
tied to this resolution? Do we just, are we creating an exhibit reference in this resolution?
Yes, and it is referenced right here, Exhibit A.
Exhibit A, okay.
Yes.
Set forth, well, that's the redevelopment plan, right? Or no, the additional recommendation. I see what
Yes,
you're saying.
as set forth in
The
Exhibit A.
additional rec-
Mhm.
Perfect, okay, that's
Yes.
already set up.
Yes,
Excellent.
we did. So,
Anticipated comments.
so are we okay on circulation, or is
I don't
there
have anything
anything
to do.
else that
Might
the
do
planning
one in
board?
Yes, guys, anything else so we can move on as far as things that we want to add to the list?
I think we're good, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Does someone want to make a motion to accept this resolution?
With the amendment to Exhibit A, and the amendment.
And the amendment specifically for the housing element.
Tell me again what Exhibit A is?
It's
What we were just-
the conditions that I
Oh.
just read. Yes, yes.
That's exhibit
so which one are we doing?
A. The motion would be on.
2611 PB.
2611 PB.
And that is finding that the redevelopment plan is not inconsistent with the master plan, because it is consistent with the housing element, as amended in this resolution, together with the conditions, from the board in Exhibit A.
I motion to accept the way Yolanda said it.
David he was like the fighter manager, just threw in the towel.
Well, you're hamstrung, right?
No, we
Right.
really are.
So what are you gonna do? So as I just said, per Yolanda's
Thank-
terminology.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Hands,
Yes.
Mr. Opalka,
Yes.
Mayor Paserchia,
Yes.
Ms. Dill,
Yes.
Committeeman Lavender,
Yes.
Mr. Lavareria,
Yes.
Ms. Ogins,
Just to be sure, it's with those conditions that we identified.
Yes, that
So
was the
if
motion.
we say yes, it's only with these conditions.
It is with sending those recommendations to the township committee, together with this resolution, yes.
Okay, yes.
that's a yes. Okay. Vice Chairman Jones
I'm going to abstain.
and Chairman Richardson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I just wanted to, again, thank Liz for her work in reviewing this. I know you've had a lot going on, and I really appreciate your efforts to provide guidance in this case, especially given a plan that you did not write.
Thanks,
Makes
Larry.
it doubly difficult. Thank you.
My concern is that others will use this as a prototype for additional properties in need of redevelopment on Valley Road.
Yeah, Ms. Sargent, we've already voted on that, so let's move on with the agenda,
I know,
please. Thank you.
just an addendum.
Okay, so our next item is a master plan consistency review on ordinance 583-26.
All right, this should be easier. I think, and I'll
Famous
tell you
last
why.
words.
I'll tell you why.
Right, well, let's
Let's
this
do
was
it.
only
Yeah,
45 minutes.
yeah,
Give it a go.
I got this
Okay.
at the same time frame.
all right, so
Start with
here,
that.
here we go. So what this is, there are, and I think we have sometimes dealt with them at this board, but there's the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls, which is UHAC. UHAC governs all affordable housing in New Jersey, and it's down to the minutia. This is how many 3 bedrooms, this is the income that they need to be, et cetera. This is how you have to market them, blah, 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 blah. It covers everything, and it has, the last time it was amended was, I think, 2004 or maybe 2001. It just got amended in the end of December in 2025. We had ordinances on our books, or something along those lines, that dealt with both affordable housing and development fees. All of that had to be amended based on UHAC's, the new UHAC. So one condition that was standard in all of the settlement agreements and in the court orders was that every town had to adopt a new affordable housing ordinance and development fee ordinance to be consistent with this brand-new UHAC and the amended Fair Housing Act. So everybody kind of was, everybody meaning planners, we're all kind of like, well, what do we do? And so a group of people got together, affordable housing professionals, and they drafted a model, and that model was provided to Fair Share Housing Center, who signed off on the model, and this is that model. And so, essentially, it's a lot of, it's really opaque why they can't just say, see UHAC, and everybody goes to UHAC, but that's just the way it goes, and everybody is adopting essentially this same ordinance as required, and it's a model that has just been uniformly circulated. So my suggestion is, there's really not very much that's specific to Long Hill. It's sort of generic. And probably the only thing that was, insert name of municipality here, and that it's fairly standard. And so what I would suggest is we do have some language in the housing, not the housing plan, in the master plan about complying with affordable housing requirements. It's sort of generic language, and this is just that. It's really just sort of checking a box that is every town is having to do. But if you have any specific questions, I can go through them, but it's really just the state law.
So this is, again, just a consistency review.
It
correct?
is.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
Pure and simple, referring back to the township committee, because I guess we're in the first reading, or first publication, and now we're in the referral to planning board, looking at the last page. Is that correct?
100%.
Yes.
And what I would suggest is that you don't make any recommended changes, because this is a model.
I don't
Yeah.
even want to attempt to. I know where I will go for a definition
Yeah. Yeah.
for anything in this state.
And everything, I know.
So,
So the board's job, as with the last, is to determine whether or not this is not inconsistent with the master plan.
Little double negative.
So,
The
in
double
my
negative.
understanding, this is going in section 138.
It's in the land use code. I'm not
It's-
sure where it is.
Yes,
It looks like it's going
138,
in the
yes.
area that was entitled Affordable Housing Requirements.
Yes.
I thought that's where it was
It
going.
should go
well,
Right.
there.
yeah, if you
'Cause it
look,
was-
it's repealing chapter 15
Yeah.
of the township code.
Right, but that's only like a couple paragraphs of stuff. It's not really, doesn't delineate to any extent,
Yeah.
right? So this is putting everything in one location is what I'm trying to get at, instead of
Yes.
Yes.
2 or 3 different spots.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it's a
Yes.
lot more because you
Well,
folks spent a lot of time on
For
it.
whatever reason, and I don't know why, but in the third round, Long Hill didn't have to adopt a very lengthy affordable
Okay.
housing ordinance. I had to in all my other towns.
Yes.
Okay,
But
so
that
we
Long
did.
Hill didn't.
We did.
All right.
And
that
I
would've been-
don't know why.
Okay.
So this is repealing and then supplementing what was there.
Right, because when I went in and looked at the ordinances, and looked at the references to what was being removed, it was really very short. There wasn't much at all, and even a lot of the definitions weren't the same, or the titles weren't the same as to what was in this. So I was kind of surprised how different.
I'm not sure when the other ordinance was implemented, but this is the latest and greatest, yeah.
So, just a question,
Sure, please.
not about the document, fine with it, more of, so municipal housing liaison, the definition says someone who is responsible for the oversight, or appointed municipal employee who is responsible for oversight and administrative. Does that come from the township, or does that come from town council, does it come from
Town
us,
committee.
because we're
Town committee.
approving? So the town
They
committee
designate.
determines who that liaison is.
Yes.
And somebody was probably appointed
They've
by
already
by
designated it's Randy
resolution.
Barr,
Okay,
Oh,
so
so-
that,
administrator.
Okay.
so this is more of just, is it, so do you designate person, or do you designate a role?
It's a
You can
person.
do either or.
You can do
but-
either or.
Yeah, they, basically in here, I think the way they did it was they did the role, administrative.
Okay.
the
Because just in
administrator,
case somebody
township administrator.
leaves, right, do we get caught up? Because a lot of the back section is you have to have that person who's
Yeah.
overseeing everything. So it was
Yeah.
more of a question because I couldn't find in here
Most-
how the town actually,
In most of my communities, it's the governing body adopts a resolution
Yes.
appointing a person, and that person then has to do everything that's in here and go to all the education and, you know.
and if that person leaves, then the town appoints
It
somebody else.
just appoints
and-
somebody else,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay, that's fine. It
Or
was
if
more of
they
a,
appoint the office
Right.
of the township administrator, then whoever is
Right, if the
serving.
new administrator doesn't.
yeah, that seems like
come in,
a
then-
much easier path to
Sure.
have the
Yeah.
role of the township.
If the
Sure.
new
administrator.
administrator doesn't come in, then it probably falls to me.
And the one
Run.
thing I have to note, the one thing that's changed in UHAC that I have to note that I think is important is that rental units have to be restricted for 40 years. Now, that's a requirement. It used to be 30 years. So that gives towns a little bit of, kind of breathing room because it doesn't expire after the 30. You get an extra 10. For sale units are still at 30, but the rentals are at 40. So I think
That's a big change.
that's an important change, yeah.
So our municipal housing liaison's Randy Barr.
Yep.
Well, administrating,
Okay.
So-
Don, just
Yes.
one minor thing. Everything you said before you mentioned it, the reasons why this came for, sometimes a whereas with all that information would be helpful.
Wait, I'm sorry, so what do you mean?
Well, you said the reason why we had to do something changed in December, the
Yeah.
new strange, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just add that detail in the whereas.
Oh, I didn't prepare it.
As
I
you
don't,
can add that
I don't
detail.
know.
I didn't prepare this either.
Yeah,
Which detail in the whereas?
So in the whereas.
And this is just a general comment as well,
Okay.
about the communication back and forth. A little bit more introduction. Helps in saving us time. Right, if I know these facts, I'm able to do it a little bit differently. So I've asked that before, so anywhere just a little bit more.
I am
introduction.
totally confused what you're talking about. What do you,
It-
on our
David-
resolution going to back to the TC?
No, David is saying that there's none of the sort of background about like the UHAC being amended in December, that's not in any of the whereases to understand the context of is the context of the
Yes.
ordinance?
Correct.
Is it in theirs, or is it not, are you just,
It's not in the in the
It's not
planning
in what we're
boards.
being given, so
Right.
what I'm avoiding
However,
is-
it is in the township's ordinance. They have all of the,
The backdrop.
I think they have the background. Do they? I think it's
So,
the, I think I'm looking at the
and
wrong
this
one.
is, again, this is a point from the past as well, a bit more into background on some of this stuff would be helpful, so we're not wasting time. Is that clear?
It is. You're not alone. That's all I'll say, is that just about every planning board that I'm working with is furious about this process, because they feel like got a gun to their head, and they didn't have the input, and quite frankly, the law is ridiculous.
And that's it might
yeah.
be more a general statement.
Yeah,
As an example, there's
yeah.
a bit more
Okay.
background when we get stuff a bit like that.
Thank you. One last question?
Yeah,
Please.
thanks, Mr. Chair. So with the adoption of this, and it supersedes Chapter 15, are there any other ordinances that this is going to supersede? Because from an ORC perspective, there may be an ordinance that didn't get picked up, but this is now covering it. Does this supersede any ordinances that may be on the books?
It should, but you know what? It's a good double check that the ORC should undertake to make sure that there
Okay.
isn't some
So that'll be
reference
some
to
work
this.
for us to do some cleanup.
Yeah.
Because I would
And
almost
Vice
guarantee
Chairman,
it.
I started a cleanup
you.
ordinance.
Yeah.
And there are many things that I've identified already that need
I'm
cleanup.
shocked.
When
I'm
we
totally shocked.
when we had our previous ORC meeting, I went through a list. I'm sure Mr. Hands remembers. We remember.
Yeah,
This
I
is
don't want to
going-
belabor the point, but
Right, this is going to be one of those things, and there's something else that I just realized while going through this process, is we have definitions in the front of our
Yeah.
land use ordinance,
Need to
and
be
then
amended.
we have definitions in certain sections. So I think that a part of any cleanup ordinance has to be a statement to the effect that these definitions are the definitions for this ordinance, unless there are specific definitions that apply to a specific section. So I think that that's something that we need to add to the code as well, just to make it clear, because every time the state makes us do something like this, they provide definitions.
yeah.
And it would be nice to have all those in one place, like it is here, and then
But
just be able to
then,
refer to this.
but then it isn't, once
Right.
it,
Right.
you know,
I
once
know.
it
Well, once you
lands.
start-
Problem.
It isn't, once it lands in the
No, I
ordinance, and
understand.
just looking at the sections that are being amended, it's not going to land in the definition section.
Okay.
Just to complicate things, so there
Just
were
to complicate
two
it,
se-
but
there
that's
were-
okay, we have other sections that do the same thing that we had to adopt, like the stormwater regulations. We have a whole bunch of definitions there that don't necessarily comport exactly with our definitional section. And I think that that clarification needs to be in the code, because we used to have applicants, when I was still here a couple of years ago, we would have applicants that would, you know, play, pick, and choose between definitions, and we have to make that clear that, you know, where they apply.
Agreed.
Could we get a motion now for consistency?
Motion to accept this resolution as not inconsistent with the master plan.
Second.
Who should I take? Okay. Vice Chairman?
I heard you were louder.
I was louder.
What is a shot?
Okay, Ms. Still,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Jones,
Yes.
Mayor Paserchia,
Yes.
Committeeman Lavender,
Yes.
Mr. Hands, Mr. Lavarerio,
Yes.
Trojans,
Yes.
Mr. Opalka,
Yes.
Chairman Richardson.
Yes,
Motion carries.
excellent.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you again. Thank you.
That was a quick one.
You didn't write this one
Yeah, no, I
either.
didn't either.
45 pages.
I'm gonna quiz you on the definition.
Yeah, I know. But you know what, the state also put out a separate thing, a different branch of the state related at the same time, the definitions, same words, different definitions.
Of course.
So,
Why would we expect anything
yeah.
different? Okay, we are on to item number 9, ordinance discussion and any ORC update. I'll turn it over to Mr. Jones.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know that the ORC met a couple weeks back that our attorney has just alluded to some of the topics. I was not at that meeting. I was attending another function, but they met for a while and actually came into the TC meeting later on that evening. So it was good to see we had representation at the TC meeting. There will be a couple of things that I've seen come through on email that's been handed down by the TC. So we will have to take a look at those. And I think our next meeting is the 18th. All right, so 18th, yeah, I think is our next meeting that we'll hold.
Yes.
And that's where we'll go into some deeper dive stuff.
Yeah, and I just wanted to acknowledge again, I hope a lot of the affordable housing is becoming kind of behind us so that we can get access to planning professionals
Yeah,
to help us with
yeah.
drafting
Of course.
and for legal assistance in this
Yeah.
area. I know it's been crazy with
March
affordable
15th
housing.
is the big deadline.
Right,
and-
perfect.
Mm.
Okay.
That's all from me. Thank you very
Great.
much.
Thank you. Any questions for the board?
So those ordinances that we got sent for snow and, for the lawns and stuff, we're saving that.
We're going to save that for that meeting. That's where we will do the discussions.
Houses of worship will be in that too.
Say again?
Houses of worship.
That'll be in that meeting, yes.
Great. Okay, thank you. All right, any old or new business before this board? Hearing none. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Yes.